Hey guys, welcome back to Altaz-Review, where we cover all kinds of gaming news. Not exactly a game release this time, a new show just came out for the Fallout series, an adaptation of the post-nuclear war game series, which doesn't stick too closely to any particular Fallout, and instead focuses on the general ideas that make Fallout, Fallout. But looking at the show will obviously bring up the games themselves. So let's talk about one of the more recent, and in my opinion, one of the most well-rounded Fallout games, Fallout 4. It helps that we also got the Fallout 4 Next Gen update recently, so let's see if Fallout 4 still holds up. Most Fallout games have a similar setting. That is, your character survived in a Fallout shelter and now has to deal with the post-nuclear world. And even common ideas like radiation-afflicted people turning into ghouls, mutants, and even animals becoming two-headed and other weird things. And of course, we have special monsters like Deathclaws and Mirelurks that return in every game. There's a lot of little details that make the games related to the same general world. Although the main point of Fallout is to survive the radiated post-nuclear world, there's still some goal to achieve as you roleplay a specific survivor from a specific vault. In Fallout 4, the idea is that your character, with their spouse and infant child, escapes into a Fallout shelter right as the nukes are dropping, and the survivors, better known as the Vault Dwellers, enter cryogenic sleep so they can wait out the radiation outside. But the next time you wake up, you can see through the glass of your cryogenic chamber that some thugs have walked in to kidnap your young son, and your spouse dies trying to save your child. The next time you wake up, your character already knows their next goal: find your son and avenge your partner. And the rest of the game takes you around the country, finding the various new groups that have emerged now that the basic law and order have left the building. Once you reach Diamond City, which is kind of like the main hub where you can find all the more important characters and facilities, you also learn more about the economical and political state of the world right now. First, you have the Brotherhood of Steel, a recurring faction from other Fallout games, which is kind of a tyrannical, self-righteous group in Fallout 4. They're a metaphor for racism as they don't tolerate any of the ghouls, synths, mutants, or any of the other new species and races that have arisen in this post-apocalyptic world. They're not completely wrong, as all the races I mentioned are generally extremely hostile no matter where you find them. But not all of them are so naturally violent. There's a lot of ghouls which are basically just irradiated humans who just barely survived the nukes and now look like zombies and have a resilience to radiation. But a lot of these ghouls are still sane and just live their lives as normally as they can. And there's also the synths, robots that can disguise themselves as regular people and are fighting for a high-tech organization only known as the Institute. But one of these robot synths is a well-respected detective in Diamond City and can also be recruited as your companion. But even so, being part of the Brotherhood of Steel means seeing all these races as a threat. Then you have the Minutemen, a faction you meet pretty early into the game, who are just simple resistance fighters trying to defend little camps and towns and protect the little guy. They have some respect among the towns, but they don't have much influence in comparison to the other factions, and they always have another settlement to protect. There's also the Institute that gets elaborated on later on in the game, but it's generally known as some conspiracy. That is, until you come across the robots called synths, and even when you learn more about their origins as you progress the main and side quests. And finally, there's the under-the-radar Railroad, a group of synth sympathizers, or synthesizers, that think the robots at the Institute should be allowed to live their lives freely, and that the robots actually have enough intelligence to have emotions and feelings of their own. Again, our synth companion, the detective, is a good example of this. Personally, I enjoy doing anything good for the synth robots just for my detective companion. The story generally revolves around navigating through each faction and getting little hints about who took your son, where he is now, and how to get to him. But given the nature of these games, the side quests and extra exploration gives a lot of room for getting sidetracked. Learning about the old society and how things have changed is completely optional, but it's probably the best part of the game, like it is in every other Fallout. But let's talk gameplay. Although Fallout is pretty similar to games like Skyrim, you have to depend on guns and ammunition. That means you have to manage bullets for your favorite weapons, and you have to carry a bunch of different guns just in case you need some heavy firepower, or if you need different weapon types for different ammunition types. And then there's the perks. You build your character based on the perks you want to get, while each stat might help you with aiming, survivability, or even speech. But in this game, speech counts for a lot more, since stats like luck or intelligence, or even certain perks, can help you outsmart people or convince them to do things your way. And not being too good at speech means you'll probably be really dumb or just can't get out of a situation without starting a fight. There's also a lot of unique details like how different factions will be fighting each other without you having to interfere, or how you can use power armor to beat hordes of enemies with ease at the cost of valuable fusion cores. And radiation makes a huge difference in terms of where you can go to explore and how you deal with certain situations or enemies, since certain areas, objects, and enemies can lead you to build up radiation, which basically lowers your mat's health. That is, unless you use items to prevent or cure the radiation damage. So there's a lot more to think about based on where radiation is or how much radiation damage an enemy can do. And although there's a large variety of weapons, many nukes and missiles are a staple of Fallout, which will always be fun to use. Exploration in Fallout isn't just for finding good stuff or completing quests. There's so much information and lore hiding in each terminal and computer, and even the state of the area or the items lying around explain the whole story in detail about what happened in a certain building and whether it happened in the pre-war era or after the nukes already dropped. Either way, it's fun to learn about all these many side stories and see what kind of issues these other characters had. It brings a lot of life to this world that should be depressing. But getting back to the main topic, the Fallout show has so far been pretty faithful to the games, and still managed to make an original story that's worth watching. That's the best way to make an adaptation, since you get to enjoy seeing something new and different while appreciating all the familiar settings and details. The ghouls, weapons, and even items like the Pip-Boy and Runaway are exactly like the game, and the tone suits the games, which are half serious and half crazy with a bit of a comedy undertone in every situation. Although shows like The Last of Us are well respected for following the game setting and plot exactly, a show like Fallout brings the creativity of applying the base setting of the game world to the story of a new, original character, so that the audience has a reason to watch the show rather than just re-watching the same story that they played in the game. It's totally subjective, but in my case, I would rather play a great game with a great story than watch a show which has the same story but you don't get to play it. And I also don't want to watch the show knowing I've basically already seen it. But overall, these shows are a great trend since we know we have some great video game shows which are faithful and well made. And hopefully, we'll see a lot more shows like this in the future. Well, that's what I think about the Fallout series, Fallout 4 in particular, and I just wanted to give my 2 cents on the Fallout show. But let me know what you guys think about Fallout 4 and the Fallout show, and what games you like to hear about in the future. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Until then, I hope I see you in the next video.